I'm on a quest to understand who I am and where I come from.
Now they're both on a journey to find themselves.
Our beloved children's author getting to know his long-lost autistic son.
There could be a book in it.
Could be a documentary.
The heartwarming series, Austin. Watch free on CBC Gem.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere. Download the CBC Listen app.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Rosanna Hempel. At 12 o'clock, it's +5 in Winnipeg. Sunny today, expect some wind gusts up to 60 kilometers an hour, a high of 10 today. Joe Biden spoke to Americans and the world today. It was the president's first speech since his vice president, Kamala Harris, was defeated by Donald Trump in Tuesday's presidential election. Biden, who decided not to run for re-election, focused on unity, a peaceful transition, and his own accomplishments. Karen Pauls has more.
And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails.
President Joe Biden says he'll work to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition.
I will do my duty as president. I'll fulfill my oath. I will honor the Constitution. On January 20th, we'll have a peaceful transfer of power here in America.
Biden's presidency bookended by Donald Trump's. He took the high road, a direct contrast to Trump's refusal to concede he lost the 2020 election, whipping up his supporters before the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Senior Trump advisor Brian Lanza says the president-elect is anticipating an orderly transition of power.
We're looking to have a unified relationship with the country in January.
Biden touted some of his administration's accomplishments, like the massive infrastructure deal that Americans will only see in upcoming years.
Now we have 74 days to finish the term, our term. Let's make every day count.
Karen Pauls, CBC News, Washington.
An abortion advocate in Winnipeg says she will be watching anxiously to see how a Trump presidency impacts abortion rights north of the border. Kemlyn Nembard at Women's Health Clinic in Winnipeg says abortion is a bellwether issue, adding it would be naive to think the politics and rhetoric in the U.S. doesn't impact Canada.
I firmly believe that it's a bellwether issue in the sense that it also really highlights the tenuousness of, hard-fought victories that we've had.
Nembard says abortion is healthcare and should be guaranteed no matter which country a person is in. Brandon police are investigating after a person who received a food hamper found drugs inside a box of chocolates. Samaritan House Ministries received a call saying a client had opened the box of tofifi and found 2 baggies with 1 gram of cannabis and 1 gram of meth inside. Heather Simbalisti at Samaritan House says they have a system where clients will gather up food items themselves. They didn't discover the drugs until they got home.
They were in shock regarding it because they were looking forward to consuming the item and unfortunately weren't able to. They were very much in shock and they were very concerned, so that's why they connected with us.
Simbalisti says police will be there today with drug sniffer dogs to make sure their food is safe. Brandon police are asking people to check their hampers to ensure there are no illicit drugs. A professor who specializes in mathematics education disagrees with criticism of changes to the way teachers are certified. Early and middle years teachers will no longer be required to have 6 undergrad credit hours in subjects like math. The change is in part to bring Manitoba in line with other provinces and to help ease the teacher shortage. A different math professor has said, if anything, teachers need more classes in math. However, Professor Martha Coach at the University of Manitoba disagrees.
There isn't research supporting that having those 3 or 6 credit hours in an undergrad math course results in better teachers in mathematics. It, in fact, sometimes results in worse teachers in early and middle years mathematics.
Coach says math education classes teach the methods of teaching, which is not something they'll get in an undergrad math class. Well, if you're on the Trans-Canada west of Winnipeg, a portion of the highway near St. Francis Xavier is closed again. It's the spot where a crash yesterday sent 2 people to hospital with serious injuries. This morning, RCMP say crews are trying to get a semi involved in the collision out of the ditch. For now, eastbound lanes of the Trans-Canada are closed at the Assiniboine River Bridge. Winnipeg's Operation Red Nose is gearing up for the holiday season. 1 month ago, the future of the Safe Ride service was looking bleak. It had lost its main sponsor and needed $100,000 in donations. But Alicia Dacey at Red Nose says individual Winnipeggers and businesses have come through.
We had a couple of businesses offer to do some donation matching, and we've had some in-kind donations as well. So while we're not where we need to be quite yet, we are very, very close, and we fully expect to launch next week.
Dacey says Safety Services Manitoba, MPI, and Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries have also come up with extra money for Red Nose. She says they are now looking for volunteer drivers. The official kickoff will be next week and will run Friday and Saturdays and New Year's Eve during the holiday season. And that is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local CBC News is at 12:30.
Good afternoon and welcome to Radio Noon. I'm Lori Hoog-Stratton. It's Thursday, November the 7th. Not a bad day out there, a little breezy, heading for a high of 10 degrees. On our call-in today, we're talking about the dangers of radon gas in our homes. The odorless gas, which occurs naturally, becomes toxic when it's trapped inside our houses. And we want to know if you've had experience with finding concerning levels of the gas in your home, or if you have questions about it. Give us a call, 204-780-0893. But first up, recruiting women and keeping them in the construction trade. Coming up first, we'll hear how not enough women are entering the trades in Manitoba and how one organization plans to recruit and retain them. Women now make up 5% of Manitoba's construction trades workforce. Some say that's something to celebrate, but it's only up 1% from last year. While many women enter the trades, many are also leaving. Today, the Manitoba Construction Sector Council will give a media conference to review its latest findings and announce how it plans to encourage women to not only enter the trades, but stay there. Jackie Pacalo is chair of the Manitoba Construction Sector Council. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. What is your reaction to only 5% of Manitoba's construction trades workforce being made up of women?
I guess I see it as a challenge. I am encouraged that we are climbing a little bit, but we do have a big hill to climb. So I see it as a challenge.
And what's the target that you're hoping to reach?
Oh, heck. I would like to see eventually, 50% of the women in the workforce, definitely. I mean, I'm working as HR within the heavy construction industry. For me, I would like to see probably by next year for our company to have at least, I would say, another 25% more by next year.
And how does that number of only 5% in Manitoba's construction trade compare to percentages historically? Is this number been going up and down or straight up? How is that working?
I would say that it's slowly going up, but not fast enough.
Yeah, and why not? What's going on?
I think a lot of times women feel that they don't feel part of the male-dominated team. I see a lot of times within our industry, we see women are trying to work harder than men to prove their worth. I think the workplace culture isn't changing quickly enough.
And what can be done about that?
I think we can probably start by sharing stories of success, just get more communication out there, set up formal mentorship programs for mentees with mentors at work, even partnership and have collaborations between organizations that support women, even with Manitoba Construction Sector Council supporting or partnering with Manitoba Heavy Construction Association. I think we need to have more information so that women know about the training programs and incentives that exist.
Mm-hmm. So how are trades promoted at the high school or junior high level?
Well, the Manitoba Construction Sector Council does a fantastic job that goes in and will speak to all, whether it's women or youth in the schools, and talk about each different construction sector, whether it's building or heavy construction. So there is a lot of work that's being done in the high schools.
And how should that be expanded or further developed? Like what specifically do they do?
In the high schools, I think that they got that pretty well down pat, maybe hitting a little bit more high schools, bringing in maybe companies that can come in, specific companies that can come in with Manitoba Construction Sector Council, so that the children can hear from the carpenters or the heavy equipment operators firsthand, so they get that feel for what they actually do.
Are the construction trades ever polled or interviewed? You were saying that it's very much still a male-dominated workplace. Are the men themselves ever polled about how they feel about welcoming women into the trades?
You know, we do have programs at Men as Allies. It's a training to shift workplace culture. I think we need to give men more tools to address barriers at work and have work scenario-based training. So I think that may assist also within the high schools.
And what are you hearing from women within the trades once they do enter it about why they leave?
A lot of times they don't feel a part of the male-dominated team.
And can you give me some examples of that?
A lot of times I think they feel left out. Maybe it could have their own cliques already, and maybe their own just a lack of communication, I think, and the lack of bringing that team together could be why, and the men not having the tools to be able to successfully work with women also.
And what initiative is the council announcing this afternoon to help recruit and keep women in trades?
Well, we have our third conference that's coming up on November 21st, so that's a great opportunity to bring men and women together to learn to network.
You mentioned that the growth has been slow, but it is always still growth. What percentage do you realistically hope women working in trades will be 5 or 10 years from now?
5 or 10 years from now, I would say I would like to see it to be, if we're at such a low percentage right now, 5 to 10 years, I can see a realistic goal of 50%.
Something to shoot for. Thank you very much, Jackie, for being with us. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Jackie Pacalo is chair of the Manitoba Construction Sector Council. The council is hosting a media advisory this afternoon at 1:15 at the Manitoba Institute of Trades and Technology. That's at 131 Henlow Bay in Winnipeg. And as Jackie told us, the Manitoba Women in Trades Conference happens November 21st, and you can register for that at the council's website, www.mbcsc.com.
Hi, I'm Saroja Coelho, host of the Saturday afternoon call-in show Just Asking, now expanding to 2 hours.
And I'm Ian Hanamansing, host of the Sunday afternoon call-in show Cross Country Checkup.
Whether it's world events
or what's happening in your backyard,
every weekend we connect Canada live.
That's Just Asking with Saroja Coelho, Saturday afternoons at 4 Eastern.
And Cross Country Checkup with Ian Hanamansing, Sunday afternoons at 4 Eastern on CBC Radio 1.
You are listening to CBC Radio 1 right now, 89.3 FM, 990 AM. This is Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten. Coming up on our call-in today, the Manitoba Lung Association is reminding us that November is Radon Action Month. The invisible gas has no smell, but it can kill at high levels when trapped inside a home. Do you know if your home is at risk? Are you wondering how to find out if you have radon gas in your home and what to do about it? Give us a call after the 12:30 news at 204-780-0893, or you can text at 204-588-7355. Our guest will be the president of the Manitoba Lung Association, Juliet Muka. And also, in a few minutes, coming up, how a new program in La Broquerie is helping newcomer kids learn how to skate for the first time. That's always a cute thing to watch as they wipe out left and right and their ankles scrape the ice. Taking a look at the forecast today. In Winnipeg, a mainly sunny day with winds out of the southwest, 20 gusting to 40, increasing to 60 this morning. Well, the morning's over. Maybe they're dying down. Highs of 10 degrees, and tonight, clear. The wind's dropping a bit and lows of -3. On Friday, sunny and highs of 8 with a low of 3. Some temperatures for you. In Brandon right now, it's 3 and windy. Churchill is -1. Windy in Dauphin at 8. In Gimli, it's 5, also windy. The Paw, 7, really windy. Thompson, 1. And in Winnipeg right now, it's 3 degrees and the wind south, 16, gusting to 27. You're listening to Radio Noon. It is 12:15. If you were a kid who grew up in Manitoba, you likely know the experience of tying up your skates and getting on the ice, sometimes with the help of a standing bar or a friend's arm. Eastman Immigrant Services newcomer kids can have the same experience. So it created a new Learn to Skate program for newcomer kids. The goal is to help kids experience skating or often experiencing snow for the first time. Gwen Reimer is the Eastman Immigrants Service Program Director. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Laurie.
So, Gwen, tell us about your Learn to Skate program. How does it work?
So the Learn to Skate program for Eastman Immigrant Services is an initiative that's made possible through a generous partnership with Canadian Tire Jumpstart program. And thanks to this collaboration, each child is provided with a brand new helmet and a pair of skates and a bag, tools that obviously help them bring their first taste of Canada's winter wonderland to life, right?
Right.
Some of them come, they haven't experienced snow, they haven't experienced the cold, they haven't experienced the ice before. And for some of them, it's a really brand new experience to be able to receive this and be able to jump onto the ice and fall over and drop on their butts a few times. But it's just an amazing program, and we're so appreciative to Canadian Tire for this opportunity.
And how do you recruit the kids and sell them on the idea of being out in the freezing cold and putting on these skates with a little blade and you're going to fall? How do you get them to buy in?
You know what, Laurie? We've done this for the last, I think we missed 1 year, but we've done this for the last 5-6 years in collaboration with Canadian Tire, and each year our program fills up very quickly. This year, we are, through the collaboration, we have 24 kids that we registered within, I want to say, within 2 days. So that speaks for the program itself. The kids are excited. Most of them are new on the ice for the first time and are just having a really good time integrating and enjoying each other's company.
Sure. Well, tell me about some of the reactions from the kids when their skates hit the ice for the first time. What happens?
Well, obviously, there is some falling and there is some dropping on their butts, but you know what? What happens is that they are excited, lots of laughter, lots of fun, determination even, and obviously just it's a time of building new memories, learning something new, forming friendships, developing a connection to the sport, obviously, right?
Right.
And it goes beyond the teaching of this skill. It creates a sense of belonging to these kids, giving them that confidence in embracing new experiences, right? So not only do they come to this winter for the first time, but are able to experience that Canadian sport,
right?
That the basis for the Canadian sport, which is obviously our well-known hockey, right?
Yeah. So what's the age range of kids learning to skate?
Anywhere between 5 and 18.
Mm-hmm. And where does it pile up, at the younger end or the lower end?
Oh, the younger end, yeah.
Easier to learn to skate, and once you're a teenager, you might be too cool to fall down, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the parents too are, it gives them an opportunity to watch from the sideline, and just for them, it's a satisfaction of being able to provide, and even though they just have to bring their kids to the ice, drive that, it gives them that opportunity to provide them with something that is a new experience for them too, which they may otherwise not be able to provide for their kids.
Mm-hmm. And of course, as we've been talking about, it can sometimes be kind of inaccessible because gear is important.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
And
you have to have that to be able to to enjoy the sport.
Yeah. And what do you hear from the kids themselves, but also from the parents that are watching on the sidelines? What's everybody getting from this?
Well, like I said earlier, there's a joy, there's a laughter, there's that sense of community connection, and obviously just that love of belonging, or the sense of belonging, and the love of the sport, doing something, being able to feel connected to something that is part of our community, right? Our Canadian life.
Yeah. Well, tell me a bit about the community. You're in La Broquerie, of course. And so how is this responding to the needs in your community?
Well, it gives the kids that ability to do something, right? It's 5 1-hour sessions where the kids are able to get out and get together. And we have children from a variety of cultures getting together and being able to enjoy. And the community themselves, they're great, and they are very supportive, offering us ice time, and again, even we're looking forward to our next few sessions where we're going to have some special guests from some of these communities. I'm not going to say who. We'll leave that for next time. But looking forward to, and that in itself shows the pride that our community has and in the integration and accepting and the welcoming spirit.
And who's teaching the skating?
So we've got a qualified Learn to Skate instructor who is doing the instructing, and then obviously we have volunteers who are helping with the program.
What about coming up for Christmas?
So for Christmas, we have our annual Christmas event that happens here each year for Eastman Immigrant Services, where we plan a great big celebration where we have approximately 300 to 350 people coming to just enjoy different culture, different foods, a variety of entertainment, and just being together for a couple of hours, enjoying each other's company, celebrating culture, celebrating the Christmas season, and just having a lot of fun. We've got some entertainment happening, and food, and so it's just that's happening on November 23rd. So that's our next big event that is going to be happening for Eastman Immigrant Services.
Well, talking about the skating makes me want to get my own skates out. It's been great having you on Radio Noon.
I challenge you to that, Laurie.
All right. All those cracks in Lake Winnipeg caught my toe once or twice.
Yeah.
But maybe this year. I'm inspired. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laurie, for your time.
Bye-bye. Gwen Reimer is the Eastman Immigrant Services Program Director. The first session of Learn to Skate program has already begun at the High Life Centre in La Broquerie, but you can find more information about how to get involved by going to the website at eastmanimmigrantservices.com. Let's take a step back into music history for a moment. I think the youngsters on the other side of the glass are playing to my demographic here. It was on this day, November 7th, 55 years ago, that we welcomed Paul McCartney back to the land of the living. Rumors and conspiracies had been circulating in 1966 that the Beatles had died in a car crash. I don't know if I heard about that. It was said that the rest of the band and the British Secret Service replaced him with a look-alike. It sounds silly now. Or does it? But it was an earnest concern for the many Beatle worshippers at the time, so much so that Life magazine tracked him down to his farm in Scotland and put McCartney and the family on their magazine cover. It was released on November 7th, 1969 with the headline, "Paul is Still With Us." From 1969 and the album Abbey Road, here is Paul McCartney and the rest of the Beatles with Here Comes the Sun.
It's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say, it's alright.
The Beatles, all of them alive and kicking at the time anyway, with Here Comes the Sun. You're listening to Radio Noon. It is 26 minutes after 12 o'clock. As the dust settles and Donald Trump celebrates a remarkable victory, the Democrats are asking what went wrong. Alex Shepard is the senior editor at The New Republic, and he's been covering the race. Shepard spoke with CBC Front Burner podcast host Jamie Poisson. Here's his take on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the one constant in American politics has been that the Democratic Party has underestimated consistently Donald Trump's appeal. And they have sort of baked in this idea, which I think is really wishful thinking, that this will be the election where the spell is broken, that voters that had previously been loyal will either not show up, and that they will get, moderate Republicans or sort of, highly educated Republicans. And that has never happened. Donald Trump has maintained that support, and he's managed to build out a coalition. So that's one explanation. Another explanation is that Harris, only became the nominee 100 days ago. And so her ability to message, I think, was really limited. I think there's been a lot of criticism of that message. I think some of it's fair. She took a remarkably cautious approach. She was really reluctant to get into policy specifics. She barely ever broke from Joe Biden, the incumbent president, who is wildly unpopular. And so one explanation is that, she just didn't give voters enough to sort of grab onto.
That was New Republic's Alex Shepard on Front Burner. Listen to the full conversation wherever you get your podcasts.
Breaking news happens anywhere, anytime.
Police have warned the protesters repeatedly, get back.
CBC News brings the story to you as it happens.
Hundreds of wildfires are burning.
Be the first to know what's going on and what that means for you and for Canadians.
This situation has changed very quickly.
Helping make sense of the world when it matters most. Stay in the know. CBC News. New this month on CBC Gem, 2 of Canada's longest-running shows are back for their 18th seasons.
You're going to be introduced to a new world.
Murdoch Mysteries brings more intrigue and invention as Detective Murdoch faces new challenges.
I would say it's extremely bad form to arrest your new boss.
And over at Heartland, life on the ranch rolls along at a more relaxed pace.
Looks like Stetson's back to his old self.
Season 18 of Murdoch Mysteries and Heartland. Watch free on CBC Gem.
You're listening to Radio Noon. It is 29 minutes after 12 o'clock. And coming up on our call-in today, we are talking about the dangers of radon gas in our homes. The odorless gas, which occurs naturally, becomes toxic when it's trapped inside houses. And we want to know if you've had experience with finding concerning levels of the gas in your home, or if you have questions about how to find it and what to do about it. This is Radon Action Month. And the Manitoba Lung Association has adopted the problem to try to get to the bottom of it. Our guest will be the president of the Manitoba Lung Association, Juliet Muka. So give us a call, 204-780-0893, and we're going to talk about radon. The news is next.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Rosanna Hempel. At 12:30, it's +6 in Winnipeg. Sunny today, a high of 10. U.S. President Joe Biden says he's assured Donald Trump that he would direct his administration to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition to power. Biden made his first on-camera appearance since Trump's decisive victory over Kamala Harris earlier this week. The president reiterated the U.S. election system is honest, fair, and transparent, and it can be trusted, win or lose.
I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree. Something that I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans.
Biden says his administration will work closely with the president-elect over the 2-month period leading up to Inauguration Day, which is January 20th. Back in Manitoba, a judge wants the province to create a safe shelter for intoxicated people in the Pas. This comes after an inquest looked into the 2019 death of a man in an RCMP holding cell. The CBC's Kristen Annabelle reports.
John Edaway Capo died after he was arrested for public intoxication in the Pas and was placed in a jail cell. An inquest held in June found he died after another inmate's leg inadvertently rolled onto his neck. It was there for 40 minutes and no one checked on him. It was hours before anyone noticed he had died. The report from this inquest was released Thursday and recommended the province examine the viability of creating a safe shelter in the Pas so intoxicated people don't have to be detained in a jail cell. It also recommended intoxicated people be medically assessed by a paramedic or nurse before they are put in a holding cell. Kristen Annabelle, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg's Operation Red Nose is gearing up for the holiday season. 1 month ago, the future of the Safe Ride service was looking bleak. It had lost its main sponsor and needed $100,000 in donations. But Alicia Dacey at Red Nose says individual Winnipeggers and businesses have come through.
We had a couple of businesses offer to do some donation matching, and we've had some in-kind donations as well. So while we're not where we need to be quite yet, we are very, very close, and we fully expect to launch next week.
She says they are now looking for volunteer drivers. The official kickoff will be next week and will run Friday and Saturdays and New Year's Eve during the holiday season. And that is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local CBC News is at 1:30.
Thank you, Rosanna.
You're welcome.
And now I welcome to the studio weather specialist Riley Lachek. Hi, Riley.
A gorgeous day out there.
Oh, it's so nice.
A little bit windy.
A little bit.
But I think we can deal with it.
I think we can.
Yeah. Another day where we're well above seasonal for this time of the year.
Yeah.
And this trend really looks like it will continue as we get into the weekend, into early next week at the earliest, at least. So temperatures right now, we're at round up to 7 degrees, 6.5 in Winnipeg at the moment. Portage is at 9. Brandon's at 6 at the moment. Dauphin is at 11 degrees. So we're seeing temperatures, usually this time of the year, we should be right around the freezing mark for a daytime high. So some of these temperatures, 10, 11 degrees above seasonal for this time of the year. And we're looking at things warming up through the afternoon. Mostly sunny skies across the south as expected. We are starting to see a bit of clearing through northwestern Manitoba. Flin Flon through Lynn Lake did see a little bit of snow this morning. Thompson picking up a bit of snow through the morning as well. That area of low pressure into northeastern Manitoba now. So places like Gillam, Shamattawa getting a little bit of snow into the afternoon hours today. That does taper off by the time we get to supper time, but really generally along the Hudson Bay coast and into parts of northeastern Manitoba, a few flurries lingering into the evening hours tonight. And then we start to see a bit of substantial clearing as we get into Friday. High pressure dominating our pattern once again. Although there is a bit of instability over the territories that wants to sink a little bit south once again. So I think through the early evening tomorrow, we could pick up another couple centimeters of snow into far northwestern Manitoba. Maybe even as far south as Thompson tomorrow evening could pick up some snow. Certainly that chance along the Hudson Bay coast again as we get into early Saturday morning. And then smooth sailing once again. We're back to mainly sunny skies across the province. So looking at highs today, I've got Winnipeg at 8 this afternoon. I think we can probably do one better. Maybe 9 or 10 degrees this afternoon, but I'm going to keep the forecast at 8 for now and see where we get. 10 degrees for Morden, Brandon at 11 this afternoon, Thompson looking at 3 under a cloudy sky. Another 8 for Winnipeg tomorrow, 12 and 11, or 12 and 10, I should say, for Saturday and Sunday. And then we back off to single digits into next week again, but still staying above seasonal even as we get into the later part of next week.
And no snow.
And no snow. I do have a slight chance of flurries into the middle part of next week or some rain showers, but at this point, no accumulating snow in the long range.
Well.
Yeah, we've been spoiled.
We have been. Today especially. Lovely. Yeah. Well, thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
That's weather specialist Riley Lachek. You can hear him this afternoon on Up to Speed, and you can see him on CBC News at 6. You're listening to CBC Radio Noon. It's 24 minutes before 1 o'clock. November is Radon Action Month, and radon is an odorless, colorless gas that can cause lung cancer, and it could be lurking in your home, and unless you check, you don't know. Its effects can be devastating when radon gas gets trapped inside, and the Manitoba Lung Association is reminding the public about its dangers and how to protect yourself and your home from its effects. It's estimated that 19% of Manitoba homes have higher than recommended levels of radon. So on our call-in today, do you have questions about radon in your home and what to do about it? Have you had experience detecting radon or getting rid of it? Give us a call, 204-780-0893, or you can text 204-588-7355. Joining us for the discussion is Manitoba Lung Association President and CEO Juliette Muka. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing very well, and thank you for letting us have this conversation, a very important conversation.
Well, let's start with why is Manitoba Lung Association focusing on radon this year?
Well, Manitoba Lung Association, along with Health Canada and other partners, have been focusing on radon for a long time, considering that we do have Radon Action Month being the month of November. It is something very important. However, if it's never involved somebody that we've known, sometimes you're not really, and of course, as you just said, it's invisible, it's odorless, it's tasteless. So when you can't see it, it's hard to see the danger. But there is that danger, as you just said. 19% of homes are above the recommended levels. And that's over 150,000 Manitoba homes that we need to make sure. So there's naturally uranium in the ground all over the world. Manitoba is predominant with having quite a bit of uranium in the ground. As uranium breaks down into the soil, it creates radon. As it dissipates, it dilutes into the air outside, and it's safe. However, if we have a crack in the foundation, if it seeps through doors or windows, because in Manitoba, we do have our basements.
Right.
And with the cold weather, it does trap inside. And if it is trapped inside interior, that is when it can be harmful to our health and to our lungs, because radon is the leading cause of lung cancer after smoking. So we need to be aware of it and take those precautions.
Right. I've got lots of questions for you, but I think our callers do as well. So give us a call at 204-780-0893, and we'll go to the phone lines right now. Hello, Doug.
Hello, yes. This is Doug calling from Brandon. I don't have a question. I just want to comment. About 5 or 6 years ago, we moved to Brandon into a new home, and we tested for radon, and we found we had relatively high levels. The Canadian standard is 200 becquerels per cubic meter, and we got 450. And so we mitigated, and immediately the radon levels came right down to 30. So I just want to say it's important to test, and also mitigation is very effective.
And how did you mitigate? What did you do?
Oh, basically, you put in a ventilation system that extracts air or gases from underneath the foundation. And most of our houses nowadays, all new ones, have a port that you can do that from. So I won't go into the details, but it's a relatively straightforward solution, let's say.
And do you continue to monitor? How do you do that?
I continue to monitor. I do have a device, electronic device, but it's for all of the time we've been here, it's been down around 30. So it's the same essentially as outdoors. You know, it's removed the problem from our place.
Well,
so it's quite important.
Very important. And thank you very much for joining the conversation, Doug. And we'd like others to join as well. Give us a call, 204-780-0893. Now, Juliette, Doug was saying that he had it tested. Now, is that part of home ownership when people buy a house and so on? Are the radon levels tested?
We sure wish that could be part of building codes and inspection codes, but it is not. So it is upon the owner's responsibility to, they can go right onto the Manitoba Lung Association's website. There are the one-time usage kits, home test kits that you can purchase for just over $60. And you put your kit, all the instructions are there, but you leave it for 90 days. And then in a self-addressed stamped envelope, send it back, and a Canadian lab will send you the results back, and we'll let you know what are the next steps. So if you're, as Doug referred to, the suggested safe levels that Health Canada recommends is 200 becquerels per cubic meter. Myself, I tested and I was under that, but there's still precautions you can take to still reduce that harm. Or you can actually buy a digital monitor to have continuous testings, because as we know in Manitoba, the earth continually shifts and we could have some seepage. So to be continually on it, and good for Doug to taking that action on that.
And when did we first start worrying about radon? As I mean, obviously it's always been around, but when did it come to kind of public attention?
Oh, it's been many years. We've at the Manitoba Lung Association, we've partnered with Health Canada almost a decade ago on this project. But again, like I said, if it's not happening to yourself or to your neighbor, you wouldn't realize it. We actually have a fundraising story right now with a lovely retired couple who unfortunately she got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and it is due to triple the amount of the radon levels in their suburb home in Winnipeg. So raising the awareness and people to take action to ensure that they and their families can stay safe.
Right. Well, give us a call if you're having worries about your own home and you're wondering what you should be looking for or what you should do. 204-780-0893. Now, Juliet, are there particular homes that are more susceptible to having radon gas trapped in them? You did mention, we have our basements and so on. But what about if your house is really airtight? Wouldn't that be a problem as well?
It would be. It sure would. It's not typically, people would often think maybe it's the older homes, but it's the newer homes as well. As we know, our ground in Manitoba, it's like gumbo almost, and the air is trapped. And as we build our basements, that brings in some rocky bottoms, and we're able to that it helps the radon escape. And that causes an issue as well. And the homes are so built so well airtight that the radon does get trapped into our homes. So having a mitigation system there is possible. And we actually have our Lungs Matter program where donations made to Manitoba Lung Association helps our mitigation program for those who need that support and that financial assistance to get their homes mitigated.
And what about lots you hear about emanating from the basement? So if you live in a house and you hang out in the basement a lot, are you more at risk than if you don't use your basement much?
It just depends. We often recommend for people who don't have who don't go in their basements often, you actually can test right from your main floor. You go where your dwelling is and where you reside the most, but it could happen to anyone and anywhere. We actually had some people who were like, well, what neighborhoods in Manitoba are more prone to radon? It's Manitoba as a whole, so homeowners need to take action.
What about things like just airing out your house or keeping the windows open, that sort of thing?
Yes, that can surely help out as well. Like I tested my home and I was under the recommended levels. However, I wanted to take those extra precautions that I actually bought myself an air purifier with a HEPA filter, and that helped reduce the numbers for the becquerels. So I am safe there. So that's why in November, we recommend this being Radon Action Month for the fact that that's when our homes are typically more sealed. People normally have the beautiful weather that we're experiencing right now, but our homes are more sealed. We don't have the windows open, the doors are closed. So for 90 days, we're creating an airtight home that will give us hopefully a current reading of what the radon levels are in our home. And like Doug said, to continue doing ongoing readings in the future because our homes do shift.
And are there certain populations that are more at risk? Is it kids? Is it older people?
Obviously, you do have a vulnerable community for those who have health concerns, but everyone is at risk pending the amount of levels of radon that you have in your home, ongoing exposure. So it all depends. So we're all at risk. That's why it is our responsibility to advocate for Manitobans and to have these programs in place.
And can you quantify it a bit? It causes lung cancer, but how would it compare as a risk to, say, smoking?
Well, very different in compositions, but the particles of radon that would go into your lungs would then the cells would not regenerate from some healthy cells. You're regenerating from unhealthy cells, which would then impede onto your lungs, and that's where the lung cancer would continue and could spread. And it's not just for your lungs as well, but overall, your overall health system as well.
Right. We have a text from Michelle. She asks, what about established 50 to 60-year-old concrete slab homes?
Well, we'd have to speak to a mitigator or a builder that may be a little bit beyond my knowledge there, but I would love to take that question and we could actually get back to Michelle.
All right. And it's interesting that there are no laws around this. what's the thinking with that? Do you know?
That is one thing that if they have someone has an answer to that, but we've taken some great steps this year. We actually hosted our first radon workshop, including with provincial policymakers and the radon mitigator work sector, to be able, along with the Manitoba Lung Association and Health Canada, to be able to create a strategic plan and some priorities, so then we can hopefully work with Manitoba builders, perhaps the real estate board, to be able to put some things in place and policies in place to keep Manitobans safe.
And I may have missed this, but is there such a thing as a radon detector, just like you can have a fire alarm or a smoke detector?
Yeah. You can buy from the Manitoba Lung Association's website, you can buy the one-time detector, or you can buy a digital detector. You can buy kits in hard homeware stores. However, right from our website, we can ensure that these are reliable kits. These are the one-time kits that we sell, or you can buy the digital monitors as well that are continuous monitoring to ensure that you're always at a safe zone, like Doug just explained in his call.
Right. So what about early warning signs? Are there any that can be detected in any other way?
For some, there are warning signs, but as we know, our health, we're also different. For some individuals, we could have a chronic cough, so you have to go check with your doctor. However, checking for radon may not be the first indication or the first thing that your doctor may recommend or you may think of.
Yeah.
So that's why we're trying to bring awareness to this program that people need to advocate for it. The story that we've been sharing with our annual Christmas Seals program, where it's a fundraiser that actually supports the Lungs Matter Grant Mitigation Grant Fund. Marianne didn't have a warning. She had, but luckily she had a doctor who actually thought of radon and to get tested. And that's how it came to light for their family.
Because
since then, they were able to get their basement mitigated and get that help that they need.
So it's all about the education. We have Sylvie on the line. Hi, Sylvie.
Hi there.
What's your question?
I have a radon mitigation system. And I had actually gotten your tests from the Manitoba Lung Association, so really great way of getting the tests. I was wondering, if ever I decide to get a ground source heat pump, like a geothermal system, I heard that there are chances that you could add radon because of the piping back in your home, like more levels there or higher levels. Is that true?
Well, that's not a question that has come to my attention yet, but I'd love to take that back and ask one of our certified mitigators that we partner with, and then I can get back to you if that's okay. If you want to send us an email at the Manitoba Lung Association, I'd love to get back to you, and I can let Lori know to share with the listeners what that answer would be. But that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because a lot of people are doing heat source pumps these days in hopes of mitigating climate change, let alone increase. You certainly don't want to increase your radon levels. Thanks very much for the call, Sylvie.
No problem.
Thanks. Give us a call. We got a minute or two left. 204-780-0893. Juliet, tell us a bit more about what the Manitoba Lung Association is doing with their current campaign.
So we are undergoing with our current Christmas Seals. It's a fundraising campaign. Hope everybody knows about Christmas Seals, as they have the adhesive stamps in recognition of donations made to Manitoba Lung to help support programs like the Lungs Matter program. So people who do need the financial support to mitigate their homes once they realize that they've exceeded the suggested recommended levels of radon in their home. Which makes such a huge difference because every dollar counts, especially in our economy now.
Yeah.
So those are important things to see. So if you would like to make a donation to help support our Lungs Matter and other programs to help support Manitoba Lungs, we'd love for you to guys make a donation at mb.lungs.ca.
That's great. And of course, mitigating the cost to mitigate the radon is always a welcome thing for people who, as you say, are spending their dollars carefully. We have Vivian on the line. I think we have time for a call. Hi, Vivian.
Hello.
What's your question or comment?
Okay, I have a few things. I'd like to know, have we considered having Manitoba physicians asking this to patients every time they go for their physical or a visit? That's one of my questions. I'm wondering who's the best person to advocate Two, to get this put into the Manitoba Building Code. And my third one is about realty. What if we were to have, like, you absolutely need a radon testing in your house so that you can sell your house? I've heard that this might be the case in the States. So, my comments.
Well,
For
Juliet,
sure.
over to you.
Well, first one is regarding the physician. That would be something that I'm actually working. I've been at the Manitoba Lung Association for 6 months now, and I actually have my first appointments to meet with all the respirologists in Manitoba. So hopefully that will help advocate. I do know, obviously, there's been a few have been great advocates to look at the big picture for lung health and including radon in that topic. When it comes to, as I referred to before, we hope to have some policies changed to include real estate and construction boards to be able to help further the conversation and policies with need of making sure that homes are being tested either upon purchase or upon selling. So that's a really good point as well. What was the other one? There was a third one here.
Oh, about the realty, whether realtors should have to, how do you see the realtors?
Yeah, so that was just what I discussed there. So obviously that would be something that we would truly applaud for. So it's not in the homeowner's hand, but people are really going in eyes wide open on what they are purchasing. Is it safe? And ensuring that they can actually safely and confidently have their families in this new home.
Well, thanks very much to Julian for those very cogent questions. And also, Juliet, thank you very much for having some, not just answers, but you're able to tell us about the actual action that's being taken. That's always a good thing to hear. And thank you so much for being with us today on our call-in.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. That's Juliet Muka. She is the Manitoba Lung Association President and CEO.
The way I see it, he said you just can't win it. Everybody's in it for their own gain. You can't please them all. There's always somebody calling you down. I do my best and I do good business. There's a lot of people asking for my time. They're trying to get ahead. They're trying to be a good friend of mine. I was a free man in Paris. I felt unfettered and alive. There was nobody calling me up for favors, and no one's future to decide. You know I go back there tomorrow, but for the work I've taken on, stoking the star maker machinery behind the popular song. I deal in dreamers and telephone screamers. Lately I wonder what I'd do it for. If I had my way, I'd just walk through those doors and wander down the Champs-Élysées, going cafe to cabaret, thinking how I feel when I find that very good friend of mine. I was a free man in Paris. I felt unfettered and alive. Nobody was calling me up for favors. No one's future to decide. You know I go back there tomorrow, but for the work I've taken on, stoking the star maker machinery behind the popular song.
Happy birthday, Joni Mitchell. Today is Joni Mitchell's 81st birthday. And to recognize her birthday, the team over at CBC Music dove into the singer-songwriter's deep catalog and ranked her 25 best songs. And Free Man in Paris came in at number 15. I heard on the morning show they played Carrie, and that came in at number 9. Also, these things could be discussed. She wrote the Free Man in Paris track after taking a trip to Paris with David Geffen, where the recording industry mogul finally got a chance to escape the rat race of the music biz. And as Joni wrote in the song, she had to get back to L.A. for Stoking the Star Maker Machine, which she did to a fairly well. But Free Man in Paris, always a nice tune to hear on Radio Noon. And coming up on Radio Noon tomorrow, Mike Ewan's going to be here. And still on kind of a musical thing, we want to talk about your concert memorabilia. Have you got a great T-shirt from a long ago concert, or a cap, or maybe you kept the ticket, or maybe your poster's worth $5 million now? You can give us a call when Mike Ewan is here after the 12:30 news, 204-780-0893. Thank you to Tech Marshal Hodgins, Director Wendy Parker, and YouTube live stream person Kevin Nipatebo. It's been fun here on the radio today. Beautiful day. Highs of 9 degrees, Riley says. Cautiously. Could be 8, could be 10, probably 9. Get out and enjoy it. It's a long fall. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.